16 minutes past the hour, welcome back. Syrian rebels fighting to overthrow the Assad government reportedly used a Google mapping tool that was specially designed for them. It's the latest revelation to emerge from Hillary Clinton's email vault from her time as the U.S. Secretary of State. Our Washington correspondent Gayane Chichikan takes up the story.
In the emails, we see evidence of cooperation between Google and the U.S. State Department with the goal of trying to oust Bashar Assad of Syria. The emails are from 2012. The head of Google Ideas at the time wrote this to Clinton's team.
Deputy Secretary Burns, Jake Alec. Please keep close hold, but my team is planning to launch a tool that will publicly track and map the defections in Syria. Our logic behind this is that nobody is visually representing and mapping the defections, which we believe are important in encouraging more to defect and giving confidence to the opposition. We're partnering with Al Jazeera, who will take primary ownership. Please keep this very close hold. And let me know if there's anything else you think we need to account for or think about before we launch.
For your information, this is a pretty cool idea.
Print.
So Google went on to create this interactive tool that would track and map defections within the Assad government, believing that this would have a powerful psychological impact in Syria. But to deliver this blow to the Assad government, Google wrote to the State Department that it would have Al Jazeera take primary ownership of the tool. Al Jazeera did exactly that, listed the interactive map on its website, and even received an award for the best technical innovation. Exactly, for the very tool that Google created. Al Jazeera is taking on a tool that was specifically created to quote-unquote encourage more defections in Syria is not the only thing that raises questions. These emails show that State Department officials apparently didn't mind getting the media company involved in that way. Moreover, one of the officials actually forwarded this whole proposal to Hillary Clinton with a note, "This is a pretty cool idea." Publicly, though, U.S. officials always call on the media to be unbiased and not to take sides.
We see the independent media as a hallmark of democratic and civil society around the world.
A country without a free and independent press has nothing to brag about.
Free and independent media, it's one of the pillars of a strong democracy.
What we don't see in the emails is whether Al Jazeera knew that the U.S. State Department approved of Google's idea of creating this defection tracker. But what the emails do suggest is that everybody was on board with the idea of toppling Assad.
Well, we have contacted the parties involved. This was Google's response. They chose not to comment on their own involvement in the project, but did state that knowledge of the maps was, quote, very public. And as was mentioned, Al Jazeera actually won a journalism award for using it too, they added. Andrew Farmer asked the media critic known as Lionel for his take on the revelations.
What about the notion of an independent journalism or a press? What about taking, in essence, kind of almost quasi-deputizing private corporations to work in a unique position that's heretofore unknown, almost as an agent, a deputy, a facilitator of a government?
It does depend on who was involved in the story and how that might influence the response from the rest of the media. We know that RT here does get a bad press, doesn't it, from the West too. We can quickly listen to a little sort of compilation of the comments that top Western officials have made about RT.
Propaganda bullhorn that is the state-sponsored Russia Today program.
Russian propaganda.
Russian propaganda.
Russian propaganda machine.
This propaganda that's coming out of Russia.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
They're doing things against us, and they are winning.
The BBG shares the committee's concerns about the intensification of Russian propaganda.
The reason I played that, Lionel, was just to ask you, imagine if the boot was on the other foot now, and it was RT working with the Russian government to influence another country's civil war. What sort of coverage and response would you expect?
Oh, Are you kidding me? I mean, this would be the end of civilization as we know it. If the same set of facts were involved with different countries, different corporations around the world, depending upon your frame of reference, this would either be an outrage or, well, maybe this is a delightful and benign cooperation. But it's all subjected to if you like these people, or like this country, or like the information that's being propagated. Hence the term, perhaps, propaganda.